Welcome to a series that we call The End of Times, where we go through the book of Revelation verse by verse to try our best to see what it is we can expect to happen in the end times. So the time Jesus refers to as the end of the age. And where we are in the book of Revelation is we are at the point where John had been taken up to heaven, and he's been able to look around, and he notices that God has a scroll, and what's written within that scroll is the divine coming of his kingdom on earth as it is in heaven. And it has 7 seals, and it's determined only Jesus can break those seals. And as those seals are broken, we see a lot of things take place on the earth that are mostly caused by man's evil heart. Now, it's manipulated by the devil, and the horsemen and God are allowing these things to take place because it's ultimately leading to the coming of God's kingdom anyway. But then once that scroll is opened, we see now the prelude of the trumpets. So really for the first time, the wrath of God is raining down on the earth. And it starts with the first trumpet. Hail and fire fall from the sky, destroying a third of the earth, which is Babylon. And we'll get into many chapters later what Babylon is, where that is. Second trumpet sounds, and something like a burning mountain hits off the shore of Babylon, destroying a third of it, or the third of the earth. And then followed by an angel named Wormwood who comes down and poisons the hearts of men. And then a fourth angel, the third of the earth is darkened. And up until this point, most things have been caused by man, and then Babylon gets destroyed. But the other 2/3 of the earth is just kind of looking at it thinking, what the heck just happened? When the fifth horn sounds, or the fifth horn blasts, what we see then is the angel comes down and opens up the bottomless pit where smoke just rips out of it like a furnace, and it makes the entire earth dark. Followed by locusts that are spiritual beings that have stingers that sting men. They're not there for vegetation. They're there specifically to sting men that are not marked by God on their foreheads. And it's very important to what we're talking about today. And they're led by the king of the bottomless pit, an angel named Abaddon. And now we're at the fifth trumpet where 4 angels in the river Euphrates are being released, and we'll pick it up in Revelation 9 verse 15. So the 4 angels who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year were released to kill a third of mankind. Now the number of the army of the horsemen was 200 million, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, and sulfur yellow. And the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and out of their mouths came fire, smoke, and brimstone. And by these 3 plagues, a third of mankind was killed by the fire, and the smoke, and the brimstone which came out of their mouths. For their power is in their mouth, and in their tail, for their tail are like serpents having heads, and with them they do harm. So we're just going to take this episode, and there's a lot going on here, and hopefully you've seen the other episodes, because I think this is episode 49. A lot is led up. I did my best to kind of recap at the beginning where we are, but the reality is there's a massive spiritual war taking place, and I don't want to miss it. Because up until the trumpets, it's caused by the evil hearts of men, and now we're seeing angels conducting a lot of damage. Now, we also talked about last time that these angels are here to kill a third of mankind. So we're talking billions and billions of people about to get killed by these angelic beings. I don't know if they're angels, but they're definitely spiritual things created by God for this time. And there's 200 million of them, but they're called 4 angels. Now, we also talked about last time how when Jesus came across a demon, that was actually, he said, we are many. And so I don't want to lose track of that. We're just going to talk about what's going on here. Now, ultimately, what has happened leading up to, if we just look at the spiritual side, let's forget about for a moment what's taking place on earth. Let's just look at the spiritual side of things. What we've seen is an angel come down and mark the forehead of those who are chosen by God. And we can see that in Ezekiel 9. And once those people are marked, then all of a sudden this essentially mass killing by angels sets out. And Ezekiel saw this. We're just going to kind of jump around. We're going to follow this exact storyline of people getting marked, then people getting tormented in severe pain, followed by death by whatever these things are. So we're going to pick it up in Ezekiel 9 real quick. And it says, starting in verse 1, "Then he called out in my hearing with a loud voice, saying, Let those who have charge over the city draw near, each with a deadly weapon in his hand." So we're watching these things come close to the city of Jerusalem. And Ezekiel specifically focused on the city, but this is taking place, it starts at the Euphrates River, so right around here. "And suddenly 6 men came from the direction of the upper gate, which faces north, each with battle axe in his hand." So here they're showing up. Apparently these ones have battle axes, and there's 6 of them in Jerusalem. "One man among them was clothed with linen, and he had a writer's inkhorn at his side, then went in and stood beside the bronze altar. Now the glory of God of Israel had gone up from the cherub where they had been in the threshold of the temple, and he called to the man clothed with linen who had the writer's inkhorn at his side, and the Lord said to him, Go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh and cry over the abominations that are done within it." So he's saying, mark those who, they're pretty darn upset, and they're really mourning at the abomination against God that's been taking place on the earth. Pick it up in 5. "To the others he said in my hearing, Go after through the city and kill. Do not let your eyes spare, nor have any pity." So here what we're talking about is we're leading up to the Battle of Armageddon. So here this angel, he's saying, go mark it. And we looked at that in Revelation 7. And he goes out and he marks them. And then next thing we see is we see these things come out of the smoke, and they start stinging men. The marked escape the poison. So if we look at when these things come out and sting, in Revelation 9 verses 3, it says, "Then out of the smoke locusts came upon the earth, and to them was given power as the scorpions of the earth have power. They were commanded not to harm the grass of the earth or any green thing or any tree, but only those men who do not have the seal of God on their foreheads. And they were not given authority to kill them, but to torment them for 5 months, and their torment was like the torment of a scorpion when it strikes a man. In those days men will seek death and will not find it, and they will desire to die, and death will flee from them." And then all of a sudden we have this next trumpet blast. Revelation 9, let's pick it up in 15. "So the 4 angels who had been prepared for the hour and day and month and year were released to kill 1/3 of mankind. Now the number of their army of horsemen was 200 million, and I heard the number of them. And thus I saw the horses in the vision. Those who sat on them had breastplates of fiery red, hyacinth blue, sulfur yellow, and the heads of the horses were like the heads of lions, and out of their mouth came fire, smoke, and brimstone. And by these 3 plagues 1/3 of mankind was killed." And then Joel saw this event, and we pick it up in Joel verse 2. Or chapter 2. "Blow the trumpet in Zion and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord is coming, for it is at hand. A day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness like the morning clouds spread over the mountains. A people come, great and strong, the like of whom has never been, nor will there ever be any such after them, even for many successive generations." So here they see these things coming. "A fire devours before them, and behind them a flame burns. The land is like the Garden of Eden before them, behind them a desolate wilderness." So they're just burning everything. "Their appearance is like the appearance of horses, and like swift steeds, so they run with a noise like chariots. Over mountaintops they leap like the noise of flaming fire to devour their stubble, like a strong people set in battle array." Now this is important. "Before them the people writhe in pain." So before they even get there, the people are in pain. That's because of the first round of the locusts that came. "So before them the people writhe in pain. All faces are drained of color. They run like mighty men. They climb the wall like men of war. Everyone marches in formation, and they do not break ranks." So what Joel saw was essentially, he saw the aftermath of the locusts, and then he saw these things then coming. And then what Ezekiel saw was he saw that angel riding on the forehead so they don't hurt those people. And then a bunch of guys with battle axes showed up. Now, I just want to share those bits because what we're seeing is as these trumpets blast, it says, the word there, it says, "Then the second angel sounded, then a third angel sounded." That word is also "and." The Greek word is also for "and." So these things are happening just boom, 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 pretty quick until you got the 5 months of pain. So essentially you have this angel marking people on the forehead. Then you have these locusts come out stinging people, causing them so much pain that they want to die. And then that goes on for 5 months. And then these things show up destroying everything in their path. 200 million of them, killing a third of mankind. And the thing about Revelation is, again, Ezekiel saw it, Joel saw it, everybody saw these things taking place. So ultimately what you have is, leading up to the opening of this scroll, was really mankind causing a lot of problems on the earth, led by the devil and really allowed to take place by God and the horsemen. And then once that scroll is completely opened, what you see is these trumpets, and a third of the earth gets destroyed, Babylon. And then these locusts come out and they start stinging anybody else that's still around that's not marked. And then followed by, these things come out 5 months later and they kill a third of the mankind that's remaining. But I want to remind you, this is good news for Christians. These are like the cavalry has showed up, because ultimately what we're dealing with up until this point is war between the Antichrist and the remnant of God, those who stand up for Jesus. And that's really pretty brutal. Christians are being tormented and killed at such record numbers that there's actually verses in the Bible, in Revelation 7 on it. So you guys, I hope this video helps. I really wanted to focus on the spiritual side. What we're seeing is angels, they're coming here and they mean business. They are not messing around. And even those locusts, those are spiritual things, because it even says they were led by an angel king named Abaddon. So, I mean, here it's essentially angelic beings and spiritual things are coming to destroy mankind, ultimately, the wickedness of it all. And then even after all that, the people remaining still don't repent or recognize that it's God. So I hope this video helps. Love to hear your thoughts on it. Put in the comments below. If you like this video, click like and subscribe. If you feel called to support our channel to Patreon, that link is also below. But the most important part of this channel is we take prayer requests, so never hesitate to send that in. Thank you for watching this episode of God, Family, and Guns. And as always, love God, love your family, love guns.